Okay, so today we're going to do something a little different.
Oh,
Yeah, so instead of looking at a person, we're diving into a process.
okay.
We're going behind the scenes of Smartless.
Ah,
Yeah,
Smartless.
you know that comedy podcast with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes?
Right, right, where they surprise each other with the guests.
Exactly. And we've got their show format document for this deep dive.
Wow, so this is like their playbook.
Yeah, and what I find really cool is that you don't even have to be like an aspiring podcaster to get something out of this. There's
Yeah.
a lot to learn about storytelling, humor, and keeping people engaged.
For sure. It's like a masterclass in entertainment.
Yeah, broken down into bite-sized pieces.
It is. And it all starts with a really strong opening.
Okay.
The catchy jingle, fun animated logo, and on-screen text, reminding viewers to subscribe for early access.
So they're already thinking about the visual experience right away.
Yeah.
Even though it's mainly an audio medium.
Right.
It's like they're creating a brand world that's bigger than just the podcast.
Right. Absolutely.
But what about the hosts themselves? I mean, their dynamic is huge, right?
Of course.
How does the document address that?
Well, they emphasize a casual, unscripted vibe.
Okay, so just like letting them riff freely.
Well, not just that. The document actually includes sample dialogue that sets the tone.
Oh, interesting.
Like Bateman might say something like, "Welcome to Smartless," where one of us knows everything and the other two are just here.
That's so them. Self-deprecating humor, but it also sets up the expectation that anything can happen.
Exactly.
Speaking of expectations, how do they build up that anticipation for the guest reveal?
Oh, that's key.
I mean, that's like their signature move.
Absolutely. It's not just about the surprise. It's about how they play with the audience's expectations. They have this whole pre-guest mystery segment
Okay.
where Sean Hayes drops these obscure clues about the guest's identity.
Right. Like that time he said, this person has voiced a Lego character and D survived a shark attack.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. How are you supposed to guess that?
You're not. It's meant to be outrageous and funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Arnett will often throw out these wildly incorrect guesses, which just adds to the comedic effect.
Right. Right.
And then, boom, the guest makes a grand entrance.
Oh, I love that.
Usually with some playful banter to break the ice.
It's like they're turning the traditional interview format on its head.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, once the guest is revealed, how do they keep that momentum going in the actual interview?
That's where the structured spontaneity really comes into play.
Okay.
They don't stick to a rigid question and answer format.
Gotcha.
Instead, they ease into things with rapid-fire questions, often focusing on humorous or unexpected topics.
Interesting.
What's fascinating here is that they use memes and video clips as visuals on YouTube.
So they're essentially creating a multi-sensory experience, even for those who are just listening.
Right.
That's pretty clever.
Right.
But do they ever get into more serious topics? Or is it all just jokes and games?
They do touch on the guest's work and current projects. But they manage to keep the tone light, even when discussing, serious things.
Yeah.
The document actually gives an example where they might describe a complex project as a mix of Inception meets Sesame Street.
Okay, see, so like using absurd comparisons to keep it entertaining?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're constantly finding ways to subvert expectations. That's where the unexpected turn segment comes in.
Right, you got it. And this is where the document gets really interesting.
Okay.
Instead of just outlining a specific format, it provides a framework for thinking about these unexpected turns.
Interesting.
For example, they might ask a question like, if you had to replace one of us three with a potato, who would it be and why?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So random, but it forces the guest to think on their feet.
Exactly.
I bet they have a whole library of potato GIFs ready to go for the YouTube version.
Probably.
It's like they're always thinking one step ahead.
Yeah.
But how do they handle those sponsor breaks without disrupting the flow?
That's a great question. They've actually turned sponsor breaks into another opportunity for comedy.
What?
The document suggests they deliver sponsor messages with a deadpan or self-deprecating tone.
Oh, wow.
Aligning with the overall comedic style of the show.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah, it's brilliant. By not taking the sponsor message too seriously, they actually make it more memorable.
Right. It's like they're in on the joke,
Exactly.
which makes the audience more receptive to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so once they've navigated the sponsor break, how do they shift back into the content?
This is where they really use audience participation.
Okay.
They have a Q&A segment where they pull questions from YouTube comments and social media.
I bet that leads to some interesting conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great way to make listeners feel like they're part of the show.
Exactly. It also makes sure the content stays fresh and relevant,
Right.
to what the audience actually cares about.
For sure. So the questions can be about, like, anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
They can range from fan theories about the show to, personal inquiries about the guest's life.
So it's like they're creating a community around their podcast.
Absolutely.
But how do they handle those off-the-wall questions?
You mean the ones that are just designed to throw the hosts and guests off guard?
Yeah, exactly.
They lean into it.
Oh, wow.
The document even suggests a lightning round
Okay.
where they fire off these quick, often humorous questions that the guest has to answer on the spot.
So it's like controlled chaos.
Yeah, at its finest.
Okay. It sounds like they found that perfect balance between being prepared and being open to the unexpected.
Yeah, I think so.
So, after all the laughter and surprises, how does Smartless end?
Well, the closing is similar to the opening, casual banter among the hosts,
Right.
a little tease about the next episode,
Okay.
and a clear call to action for viewers to subscribe and engage with the show.
It's like they've created this perfect loop, to keep people coming back for more. But this is what I find fascinating. This entire format is documented.
Right.
It's not just them winging it. There's a real strategy behind it.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the key takeaways that make Smartless so successful?
Well, I'd say one of the biggest is their embrace of unpredictability.
Oh, that's a good one.
The loose structure allows for genuine humor and surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
It reminds us that sometimes the best moments happen when we deviate from the script.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes them so relatable.
Uh-huh.
They're not afraid to laugh at themselves or go off on tangents.
Right.
It feels authentic and human,
Another takeaway is the importance of visuals.
even in an audio medium.
Even in an audio medium.
Okay.
Smartless uses memes, graphics, and sound effects to enhance its YouTube presence.
Right.
Which shows that even podcasts can benefit from thinking visually.
It's almost like they're creating a mental picture for the listener.
Yeah, and by using popular meme culture, they're creating a shared language with their audience.
Yeah, for sure. But beyond the visuals and the humor, there's also this underlying sense of respect for their guests.
Absolutely. They don't shy away from playful teasing,
Right.
but they always manage to circle back to the guests' accomplishments,
Okay.
and showcase their unique talents.
So it's like they found the sweet spot between being entertaining and being informative.
It is, and it's a tough balance to strike.
What stood out to you the most from this deep dive into the Smartless format?
I'd say it's their ability to create a space where both the hosts and the guests can be their authentic selves.
Right.
They're not afraid to be vulnerable, to be silly, to be surprised.
Yeah, it's like we're getting a peek into their genuine friendships.
Exactly. And it makes you realize that even with a structure, there's always room for spontaneity and connection.
Okay, so we've uncovered the secrets behind Smartless, but here's the real question.
What's that?
How can we apply these principles to our own lives?
That's a great question. It's easy to get caught up in the entertainment aspect, but there's a lot we can learn from their approach to communication and building relationships.
Yeah, it makes you think, like, what if we approached all our conversations with a little more Smartless magic?
I know, right?
A little more humor, a little more surprise.
I think the key is that structure and spontaneity aren't like enemies.
Okay.
Smartless shows you can have a plan but not be rigid.
Yeah.
You can be prepared but still leave room for the unexpected.
And it's not just about being funny, is it?
No.
It's more about creating that environment where people can be themselves.
Right, where they can let their guard down and just share their stories.
Exactly. It's fostering genuine connections, even in unexpected places.
Like, think about how they use visuals.
Right. Even though it's an audio medium.
Yeah, those memes and graphics create a shared experience, a visual language that resonates with the audience.
That's like they're saying, hey, we see you, we get you, we want you to be a part of this.
Exactly.
It's not just for podcasts, right?
Not at all.
This idea of visual storytelling can be used for anything.
For sure. Presentations, emails, even just conversations.
Right.
Thinking about those visual elements makes your message more engaging, more memorable.
It's about finding those creative ways to connect with your audience.
Yeah, to make them feel something.
And sometimes the best way to do that is to surprise them.
Right.
Throw in something unexpected, make them laugh or think differently.
And remember, it's okay not to take ourselves too seriously.
Right.
Smartless reminds us, laughter is a powerful tool.
It is.
Not just for entertainment, but for building relationships and that sense of community.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Smartless,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from this?
I hope they feel inspired to experiment,
Okay.
to try new things, break out of their comfort zones, and just find joy in the unexpected.
I love that.
Because like Smartless shows us, sometimes the best stuff comes from embracing the unknown.
It's like a reminder that there's always something new to discover in ourselves and in the world around us. And hey, maybe we can all bring a little Smartless magic into our own lives.
Imagine that. A world with a little more laughter, a little more surprise, and a lot more genuine connection.
What could be better than that?
Nothing.
So listener, as you go about your day, remember, be spontaneous, embrace the absurd.
And don't forget those potato gifs.